Hey everyone, James from Shimwrecker Enterprises back here with part 2 of the This or That series. Over the next several Wednesdays, I'm going to be kind of taking you through what's in my arsenal right now, but not just showing you what's in my arsenal, but other balls that were kind of in contention for each part of my bag, why I've chosen what I've chosen, and how I use it all together. So hopefully this will kind of be a way to show the thought process that I have as I approach an arsenal and as I approach how I use that arsenal on a daily basis. I'm going to be going through this a little bit differently. I'm not going to go like top to bottom or in a direct sequencing type of perspective, but I'm actually going to be building this in, these videos are going to be in order of priority. So today we're looking at the typical, quote unquote benchmark type roll, which I kind of think of this as like a really, an early smooth controllable ball that, will never overhook and never jump on you. Just really trying to something that's going to be predictable and keep you in play, not necessarily maximize your pocket hits as much, if that makes sense. Many thanks to Nick, Chris, and the entire crew up at Before the First Frame in Henderson, North Carolina. They always are able to help me out with getting me lanes of fresh oil for testing on these videos. If you're anywhere in North Carolina, definitely go visit them. They are awesome and they get the tournament bowling scene. The first ball we're looking at is the AllRoad that I've had since the start of 2021. It's got the same NRG hybrid cover on it as balls like the Physics and the Supersonic, and more recently the Trend 2. And it also has the same inverted FE2 core that the other balls in the High Road series have had, which obviously dates back to the late 2000s. It's a little bit higher RG core with an RG of 2.57, but it's also got a little bit more differential at 0.046 and 15 pounds. So this combination of a fairly strong and high traction sanded cover stock, mine's at about a 3,000 grit surface for this test, I believe, and a core that's not going to roll super early and going to kind of blend out the mid lane a little bit more. It makes this like super smooth, predictable, and consistent ball that still gets through the pins fairly well. You can see here as I'm testing on the Kegel Chromium pattern up at Before the First Frame that, whether I, keep it in the oil a little bit more or throw it straight at the friction, the shape is pretty much always the same. It's this really smooth, climbing, controllable, predictable type of reaction. I am giving up a few pocket hits. You can see I'm, got some, behind it corner pins and hits of that nature throughout this video here. But at the same time, I'm kind of okay with that for this ball, because this ball is not about maximizing my hits when I'm in the pocket. This slot, I should say, is about maximizing pocket hit rate more than anything else. Like, this is one where I want my 9 or better rate is a much higher priority than my strike rate, if that makes sense. So that's the AllRoad. This was one that wasn't really even on my radar until Luke and Angel Rosedal suggested I draw another one around New Year's time last year, and it's blown me away ever since. The recently discontinued, may it rest in peace, IQ Tour Nano Pearl is also, it's an interesting sidestep off of the AllRoad. It's got the same base formula. Both of these balls are have the NRG cover stock formula, but the Nano Pearl is pearlized instead of hybrid. Surfaces are about the same, and instead of having a higher RG medium differential core, the Nano Pearl's core is low RG, low differential. So while they do cover a lot of the same kind of hook potential and traction realms, is how they accomplish that is a little bit different. The interesting thing that I see with the Nano Pearl, kind of in contrast to the AllRoad, is that because of that lower differential, I feel like the Nano Pearl is a little bit better from straighter angles, just because that helps control my directional change a little bit more. But as you can see, as soon as I miss a touch quick or I get a little bit too far left, as I'm testing here on this same Chromium pattern, it hits a wall really fast where I can't get it to recover. And it's kind of a benefit and a downside, or two different sides of the same coin almost, where the Nano Pearl doesn't want to recover from left, but I do feel like the shape is a little better from right, especially on this situation where I am on a fairly fresh pattern that does have a decent amount of volume in the front part of it. The final contestant here is the Pin Down Venom Shock. This is kind of the ball that put Motive on the map almost. One of the longest running balls on the market today. I think The only balls I can think of that have been around longer are the IQ Tour Solid and the original AllRoad, because the Shock came out in 2014, I believe, so it's been around for a very long time. It's one of the staples of the Motive product line. The cover on it, which is Turmoil MFS, which is essentially a weaker version of the Jackal Ghost cover, is actually very, very close strength-wise to the NRG formula that is on the AllRoad and the Nano Pearl. And it's got a core that's actually not too dissimilar from the IQ Tour core. The gear core, I believe, is a 2.48 RG instead of 2.49, so that's about the same. And it's got a few more points of differential at .036. I've got mine, my shock is drilled pinned down. That's because when I drilled this ball, I wanted it to be a touch more kind of blendy off the end of the pattern than what I get out of my Nano Pearl. And this is a case where cover formula makes a huge difference. If you haven't watched Luke Rosedal's video of cover types versus cover formulas, I will link that in the description. I very highly recommend it. It's a very, very enlightening video, and that gets shown here. Because even though they're both, you know, kind of strong and stable covers and rolly controllable cores, and I've got a more controlled layout on the shock, it's actually the fastest on friction out of the three of these. It felt like a little bit of a struggle to get my ball through the pins with this shock from playing straighter. But then when I get further inside and just kind of roll the ball at the friction and let the ball do the work for me, the shock just came alive on this pattern. This is a trend that I've noticed across a lot of centers when I've thrown the Venom Shock. Because it's not, and I'm not 100% sure why, but you know, I've drilled a couple different shocks. I've got one that's pinned up as well that's even faster on friction than this one. And they all feel like this, where it's not necessarily the best ball from straighter, but if you need a ball to recover from deeper angles but still give you a really good like IQ level of control, it's an odd combination, but it's freaking awesome. It's a very, very fun ball to throw. It looks cool, and it's got a snake on the side of it, so you can't go wrong with that. I think it's pretty easy to see here why the Venom Shock is still around. I think if they were to discontinue this ball, that Motive fans everywhere would visit their nearest Pitchfork Emporium and start a riot. So, yeah, that is the Venom Shock. So now I'm going to kind of step back and layer over a few shots of each of these balls together and kind of show you, explain a little bit of why I'm choosing what I'm choosing, kind of my thought process here. The first ball out is the Nano Pearl from these three. Even when I threw some decent shots, and a lot of these 2 pins that I left with the Nano Pearl in this video were not terrible shots. Like, they could have struck. They came off my hand, and I was like, this is pretty close. Nope, that's not close. I am very uncomfortable, generally speaking, when I have a ball in my hand where I can't control them this long. I need to see a ball be able to start up and know that it's going to start up correctly in the mid lane, getting into the hook phase, and know that it's not going to just randomly overskid on me. And the Nano Pearl feels like the most susceptible of these three to that, especially from deeper angles. The Venom Shock was actually a pretty substantial influencing factor in me dropping my contract in the first place this past summer. It's obviously a really, really impressive shape, especially when I'm able to just kind of get left and roll the ball and let it do the work for me. But at the same time, like I mentioned, it is very, very good from deep, but it is not that great from straighter angles for me. I need that ability to, really tumble the ball off my hand and use it to control my directional change for a ball like this roll that I'm trying to fill. So as much as I want to throw the shock, I don't think that's the ball either. And as such, the AllRoad is it's the last ball standing, so to speak. It's an incredibly balanced reaction. It works on a lot of different situations. It's actually a really good kind of shell down core down on both sides, almost is kind of how I see it from my phase 2, which is kind of interesting. I think they actually are, as I'm thinking about it, I think they're probably close-ish on traction, but that weaker core really helps me use my AllRoad and an offset strength perspective to my phase 2 that I carry quite a bit. I mean, obviously I've thrown 11 different phase 2s in the past 4 years, so it's a ball that I absolutely love. So having that kind of stable, consistent shape, I think, is going to be very beneficial for me. And the AllRoad is one that, as I was shooting this video off my hand, I pretty much knew exactly what the result was going to be at 30 feet down the lane. And that type of predictability for this benchmarking type slot is very, very important. So I've discussed these three balls kind of in a little bit of a vacuum here. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, this is a series where I'm kind of developing this in order of priority. So kind of essentially fleshing out in a sequential fashion how I'm actually going to be building an arsenal, essentially. And this is one of the linchpin slots, so to speak. And so that's kind of why we're starting here and why this testing has been a little bit more in a vacuum. For some of these more nuanced comparisons, like the bridge ball slot that I mentioned in the introduction video, for stuff like that, I'm going to include footage from other slots that are around it because that context matters a little bit more. Because I'm not just looking for the best ball in a vacuum, but also looking to kind of build out some different sequencing ideas throughout my arsenal and kind of fleshing things out in that fashion. So anyways, I think the next video is going to actually just be kind of a retrospective / second look at the Idol Synergy. This is a ball that I wasn't a huge fan of when I first drilled it, but it is awesome now. I'm going to explain a little bit of why I like it so much and show it used in a few different situations. For now, though, I'm very excited to welcome the AllRoad to my travel bag. Looks great, smells great. Most of the time it carries a 10 pin and you can't ask for a whole lot more than that. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions or want to know anything else, anything you want to see me talk about specifically in future episodes of this series. And until I see y'all out on the lanes, good luck and good bowling.